Today with us, we have a very special guest to share with us some tips and tricks on using Facebook groups to increase and boost your presence in social media. You see, Facebook groups can be really helpful. You take a post. I give you a challenge. Take a post with some good content which adds value to the audience. Take that post and post it in a Facebook group which is active, and post the same thing on your business page, which has a kind of similar number of followers. You'll see much more engagement, 10 times engagement, more than 10. Of course, I've seen more than 10 times engagement in that in a Facebook group than in your personal business page. So Facebook group can be really helpful. And today we have with us none other than Andrew Kavanagh. He is the admin of the Photoshop and Lightroom group in Facebook, which is the largest group by far when it comes to Photoshop and Lightroom as well, with more than 200,000 members. He has not only made such a huge group, but also managed to create a community of photographers, creators, and designers alike. Apart from that, he has also worked with some amazing brands like Sony, Discovery Channel, The Gap. I have a list: Hewlett Packard, Time Magazine, Barbie, BMG Music, Colgate, and the list just continues. He is the co-organizer of the online Photoshop users group and also is the former co-organizer of the Los Angeles Photoshop users group. Thank you, Andrew, for joining us live, and it's great to have you. So I just wanted to ask you a couple of things. So you do have a page, right? So why would you suggest someone who's trying to build his influence in social media or presence in social media to build a group along with the page?
So, all right, well, they're two different things. Two different things. So for me, the two business pages I have, they're very, very kind of distinct. One of them is my Photoshop tutor and retoucher page, and so for that I post my photography or artwork, as well as news about what I might be doing or who I might be working for, or if I'm going to, say, an Adobe event. So that's very much related to my tutoring and retouching business. And then I have another page that's Photoshop and photography, and that's focused on promoting events and events in my group, and then posting videos like your videos, your wonderful videos.
Thank you so much.
And then also deals. So I promote certain people on Facebook, but they are only people that I very much respect and I think are very sincere, excellent teachers, or have excellent plugins. So I only will promote people that I very much like the quality of their work.
So,
and so therefore a group is a way to have people from all over the world, which is great, all over the world join, and what they do is post their photography in the Photoshop and Lightroom or Photoshop Advice group. Post their photography, ask for constructive criticism, get feedback, or just share good news when they've won a contest. And so it's very much community focused and supportive.
So you're saying a group is all about the community, whereas a page is for promotion, right?
Yeah, page is more like your business and promotions, and the group is very much community focused.
But looking at pages, we find that a group has more reach, right, when it comes to posting anything compared to pages.
Absolutely. Like a page, you could probably, depending on your reputation and if you have a good YouTube channel, things like that, you might be able to build it up to between, say, 4,000 to 10,000 or something. Whereas a group can gain momentum, and people can also suggest your group in different write-ups. I've had, I think F-Stoppers have given a good shout-out to my group, and Glenn Dewis has given a good shout-out, and Jesus Ramirez from the Photoshop Training Channel. And he used to be an admin, but then he got so busy that I kind of let him do his thing. So so we have 19 admins. So I want to give a shout-out to say thank you very much to the dedicated admins. That's what really holds this group together.
Thank you so much, guys. And by the way, what is the work? What is the work of an admin for a group? What is the importance of an admin for a group?
So first thing is admins are the ones who accept or reject when people want to join a group. And so we check out people's profiles and see if they have a true interest in photography or Photoshop, or if they look like they might be spammers. If they look like they're spammers, or someone who looks like their intention is to cause trouble or something, we might reject them. Beyond that, we scope through the group daily and get rid of spammers. We also look at the conversations going on under people's work and make sure no one's being mean or rude. And we either give them a warning, or we just delete the comment. If they are repeat offenders, then we ban them from the group. And we just keep it clean. And another thing that we don't like on both groups is people have this idea that they're supposed to post a photo or an image and ask people to do it for them. It's not allowed. It's not allowed. It's not helpful. You don't learn anything from that. It's kind of a lazy thing to do.
That's useless.
I've never done that in all my years. I don't think in all the years I've been involved in Photoshop, I've ever just out of nowhere asked strangers without pay to like work on an image for me. So it's not allowed.
And it surprises us. Why would somebody do that for somebody for free? I mean,
I just think they're lazy,
No, the people who just edit other people's photos, I mean, for free.
Well, I guess they're trying to be helpful in some way, but it just promotes, kind of that taker mentality. I don't think it's good.
Exactly.
I also another thing is we don't allow like those speed videos with loud music and there's no talking.
Yes.
Like your videos are excellent, very helpful. You have a good following that is well deserved, and it's very helpful. It's knowledgeable. Whereas these speed videos or loud blasting music videos, they're just annoying, and they'll just be deleted from both groups. And if people are repeat offenders, they will be banned. So just telling it like it is, you want to be involved in the group, share your work, but don't
exactly.
Bad content. We don't want bad content.
So when you talked about, accepting new members for the group, so what is the exact criteria? Do you actually check those profiles and what they do? Or even if they're not interested in photography, do you accept them if their profile is clean?
Pretty much. I mean, we try to be open-minded. There might be people who are brand new but are interested. So brand new to photography or Photoshop and Lightroom. And so try to be as open-minded and diplomatic as possible. The main thing is, they just have to look like they have some type of creative interest, or if they don't have many examples of that, they look like they have some type of discourse going on their page. If it looks like they have no friends and no one's kind of communicating with them, and there's just some likes on things, then it doesn't look like they would be really interested. That's
spammy. That's spammy. That's
right,
exactly
that's
spammy.
Suggestive of being a spammer.
So once again, when you created the group, the Photoshop and Lightroom group, it has great memberships, great following. But one thing that we noticed that the groups that you created are closed groups. So why should we have closed groups as opposed to open groups? So what do you think is the advantage of that?
Okay, so there's a misunderstanding about what that means. So people think a closed group means like it's a private group, and that's going to be hard to find. Or what a closed group just means is that if someone posts something they're working on, and it might be something they're working on for a client, it stays in the group. That means it's not on the regular timeline. It's not shared to the public. It stays in the group, and people are comfortable with that. And it used to be public for a certain amount of time, but we voted on that, and the majority said they want it to be closed, and we respect that. So it's closed so people can get feedback without, say, friends or family or clients seeing that. Exactly. So it's out of respect to the members.
Because there are some pictures which cannot be shared publicly. Those
That's correct.
Yeah.
Or they're like in development, or they might feel slightly ashamed of where they are, skill level. I mean, there's a whole range of skill levels, and we want to be helpful to everybody. So,
Exactly. So this legendary question which everyone asks. So you started the group. You have gained a lot of experience over the past 7 years when you started the group.
Sure.
So
absolutely.
So if you could travel back time and talk to your own self, what advice would you give to yourself when you were starting the group? I mean, what tips would you give to yourself?
Well, the two biggest ones are ask for help. It's in the beginning I tried to do a lot of things on my own, and I kind of I got close to burning out a few times, and I just felt like I had to do it all myself. And then I realized that when I asked people who wanted to be admins, they take some pride in being an admin because they're a big part of the group and they're very helpful. So I learned to reach out to admins, as well as even like people in the industry for their feedback. And so don't try to do everything on your own. There's a lot of people on this planet, a lot of people with a lot of skill and intelligence.
That's indeed a great tip.
Yeah, a lot of people, a lot of skill, intelligence, creativity. Reach out to them, connect, and you know, you'll only become more powerful that way. You don't become powerful in a cave. You become powerful in a community.
You're right.
So yeah, and that's a big one. And then the second one is, I had it before, but now I kind of lost it after that rant I just had. But one thing I learned is to be able to pull away. So if you're working on, you know, a contest and you're promoting an event and people start asking you all these questions with the Facebook chat, give yourself some space to pull away and be healthy to yourself. You know, go out for dinner or take the weekend off, whatever. I kind of felt like there was times I was juggling too many things at a time, and it only led to me being a little over dramatic about situations that weren't really that way at all. And that's just, you know, a stress thing. So it's really, both answers are about managing stress and clarifying that there are people there to help you. There are different perspectives on how to deal with the situation. You don't have to deal with it the way that you always have done. You can take a breather and then come back with refreshing perspective and you know, ask people in the industry how they might deal with the same issue. So, yeah.
So Andrew, as you talked about messages right now, you get a lot of messages, and I understand that because I get a lot of them too. So I see that you reply to all of the comments, you like all of the comments, you try to be as active as possible. So how can you manage the time to reply to everybody, talk to everybody, and also stay calm? And how do you manage the balance, I mean?
Yeah, I don't really. So, I mean, I try to comment when I can, and, you know, I like posts that I think are, you know, good quality or represent good talent in the group, or I just like, you know. So I'll like and I'll comment when I can, but people do flood me with, you know, Facebook messages, and sometimes I can answer them and sometimes I absolutely cannot. And then I just hope that they can reach out to other admins when I'm not around, or, you know, ask in the group, as long as it's not a rant. We don't allow rants in the group because it's disrespectful to the amount of time and energy we give to the group. Because that's one thing that I don't think people really understand, is that this is pretty much a sacrifice for me and my admins, 19 admins. It's a sacrifice of our time and our energy. And, you know, we're doing this out of a passion for this industry, Photoshop, photography, and Lightroom. And, you know, in general, I think that there's a kind of strange energy with the way that people relate online. I think that people should be much more thankful and more respectful, but people are very quick to comment and put people down or be mean, and you know, I just don't think that it's valuable. So I try to respond when I can, but when I can't, people do have to try to understand. We all have lives, we all have other things we have to deal with, families, you know. I'm married, people have kids, some of the admins have kids as well. I mean, you know, so it's a whole range of us in different time zones, but we're all busy beyond the group.
We all are. And how do you then prioritize your messages? I mean, you have a lot of messages, right? So how do you choose which one to reply to and which one to not? Because our inboxes are flooding with messages. So how do you tackle with that?
You know, what I consider priority would be, you know, if someone tells me that someone might be harassing them or you know, an issue like that, then I'm pretty quick to respond. If someone just wants to know why their friend got banned, I'm not always going to respond to that, because we do have the guidelines under the top right area. The guidelines are pretty clear as to what would get you banned, and it's usually pretty typical reason. It's not like we ban people because we're ban happy. It's very related to the guidelines. It's usually people are spamming the group or have rude comments or you know, just kind of getting out of line in one way or another. So
yeah, Andrew, as we saw with your group, it's a really active group. People are really engaging with it, and we can say that it's a quality group. Now there are other groups which have dead crowd. People just don't respond. Even if I post there, they don't just like or engage with that. So how would you advise to create an active group where people actually engage in, and it's a really good quality group?
Well, you know, there's this kind of spiritual phrase, I guess, that I've heard in the past, where something like, where you put your energy to, or what you concentrate, expands. And so for me, is from day one, back in 2010, going on 7 years, I have posted to that group daily. I've given my energy and attention to that group on a daily basis. So for me, it's consistency and constancy. If you post good video quality, you answer people's questions, you're helpful on a daily basis, you get rid of spam and rude or mean comments as best to your ability on a daily basis, you will have a quality group. If you neglect your group, you don't show up for days, there's no admins around when there's spam or crappy quality or mean threads going on, people are going to leave, people are going to see that it just doesn't have a good energy. So energy builds with dedication.
Which means, of course, which means it's a hard work. It's not easy like everybody thinks. Just create a group and just spam everybody, invite everybody.
No, not at all. It's a daily dedication, and it's a sacrifice. And I think if you're dedicated, just like anything in life, you'll succeed. And so, I'm into meditation as well, and I meditate every day. I have been doing that for years, and I think because of that, it has enabled me to deal with certain stress situations in a clearer way. So, yeah.
That's interesting. That's very interesting. Now, one of the things that you created 3 groups, right? One for advice, and one for Photoshop and Lightroom, and one for surreal Photoshop. What was that? What was the third one?
Well, that's strange and surreal art and photos. And that was just kind of to get away from the kind of work that I do in the other groups, and treat it as just kind of an open group or open forum for people to post creative and strange artwork, No, try to less rules and more creative freedom.
So
it's a nice out.
So the third one, as you said, was for a niche audience, right? It was not for a broader audience. So whenever you're creating, right? Yeah.
So it's not really, like, you're not really going to see, flower photos or baby photos in that group. You're going to see, creative and kind of imaginative stuff, and that's what its intention is. So its focus is that.
So what do you suggest, I mean, to people who are creating groups? Should they create a broader group with more number of people, or a narrower group with a niche audience? What would have more engagement, according to you?
Well, I don't think that it has to be like a large group. I mean, that could, in the back of your mind, that could be a goal. I mean, that wasn't always my goal. It just seemed to my group gain momentum, and so I was appreciative of it and celebrated those milestones. But always, from the beginning to now, the intention is it a helpful group? Are people being helpful? Are people sharing good work? And is it a quality group? So if I had 10,000 people, or I have 202,000 like I do now, it's the same intention.
Exactly.
So quality and helpfulness is the focus. In fact, I think if you were to focus on the numbers, and that's your real intention, you might fail. That it might be a bad quality group.
That's the greatest point, because I've seen groups in Photoshop, groups in Facebook. The biggest group in Facebook just need this much members to, break the world record. You might have seen those groups.
Right. I mean, I celebrated the milestones.
Yeah.
But I wasn't like actively trying to beef up the group. It was sort of a natural progression based on the quality of the group.
Yes, exactly.
And I do have to give a shout out to people in the industry. So I mean, Glenn Dewis gave a shout out. Jesus Ramirez from the Photoshop Training Channel, he gave a shout out on his YouTube channel. And then you have been an excellent resource and addition to the group. I don't know when you started the group, but I think it's been like in the last year or two.
Yes,
right?
Last year to actively started posting. I was a member before, but I actively started posting. So how do you?
And I was going to say, one thing I wanted to say though, is you've taken out some of my work, which is I used to post good quality video tutorials.
Oh.
Now you post for me because you post your own.
So you used to post tutorials before? I mean,
so yeah, I would post, from the Photoshop Cafe, Photoshop Training Channel, Glenn Dewis, Anthony Morganti, a variety of people, Tim Gray, a lot of different people in the industry. But now that you post to the group directly, that's one less thing for me to do. So thank you very much with your
You're
excellent
welcome.
content.
I love the engagement of your group, and as you said, you don't have to promote the group, right? So there are a lot of people who are willingly promoting the group. Like I love to tell people about the group to join in the group, and also as you said, Glenn Dewis and other people, Anthony Morganti, they are promoting your group. And what are the other ways that you promoted your group in the beginning, when it was getting started?
Well, I did share it on other social networks. So I did, post about it in Twitter, LinkedIn. Now, the one thing I learned is Google Plus. Google Plus, they don't like Facebook. So if you post about a Facebook group on Google Plus, you'll get a lot of people jumping in saying, "Why are you posting about a Facebook group? No one cares about Facebook." So I stopped promoting Facebook events in my group on Google Plus. But I've never had any problem on feedback on Twitter or LinkedIn. It's just Google Plus. And the sad thing is, I like Google Plus. I think the quality for photography and images is very good.
It's good. It's actually good.
And even the format is kind of nice. But it's as I think we were talking about earlier. It's just kind of like a dead zone in terms of socializing.
Yes.
If I post something, I might get a like or two, but I won't get many comments or none at all. And then if I post something on Facebook, I immediately get comments and interactions,
exactly.
and maybe people arguing about it or just some type of different perspective. I appreciate all that. Whereas on Google Plus, it's like a dead zone where I post something and it's like I don't expect any kind of feedback at all.
As you just sent your link to your Google Plus profile, I just checked it out briefly, and I saw that you have a pretty good number of followers, 5,000 or something, 6,000. So is it helpful if you have got like 5,000 followers on Facebook and one on Google Plus, but is it helping you in any way, like Google Plus, for your photography right now?
I also, I know that Google owns Google Plus, so I like the idea that when I post, they see that I'm relevant to the industry, and it maybe reinforces the fact that I have a blog and a presence online in general. So, I just see it as why not, post there. And you never know, I might post something there and all of a sudden get invited to print out my artwork and be in an art show. Or someone might see my work on Google Plus and say, I live here, but would you be willing to do this retouching job? Absolutely. So why not, And in fact, I've even joined LO.
Yeah.
ELLO.
I'm on LO too.
Yeah, I don't know if it's that active in any way, but I like to post there and look around at times and see what's going on.
So you do prefer multi-platform instead of just sticking out to just one platform like Facebook or YouTube. You have to be a multi-platform, right?
Well, yeah, my attitude is, why not, post on different platforms. You never know who will benefit from it, as well as I like to invite people to get more involved in the group, just out of the excitement of it, such as we just finished a contest now, and we're starting another contest on Monday.
Okay.
So that's like a 4-day contest. So I like to invite people on other platforms to join the group for that, make it open to everybody. The thing is, though, is I know that my effort that I put into other social networks goes a certain point, whereas on Facebook, I feel like there really is just a better sense of community and communication. So I get more involved in Facebook because I don't like to waste my time and my energy. So I'm spending a lot of time and energy doing all this on a daily basis. I want to focus my time where it's best going to work. So I don't like to waste it on something that's just going to be dead. So I might, post something on Google Plus and that's it. Whereas on Facebook, I'll join in conversation and jump into other groups. And,
So when you post in Facebook, that's interesting. That when we post in Facebook, especially in a group or so, is there anything that links don't get promoted as much as original post? I mean, just like video directly posted to your group instead of a link posted. So what's the comparison of promotion that Facebook gives to that? It doesn't show up in the news feed. It does seem that the links don't show up. But on the other hand, the genuine videos do show up. Is there anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, that would have to be more of like, Facebook's policy. I'm not quite sure. I do study that at times, but I think what it is also interaction. So if you post something and people like it and people comment, then Facebook almost immediately sees that as an interest, and you might see more of those people or pages in your timeline. Whereas if you don't interact with a certain page or a certain video or person, then they might be less and less in your timeline. Which is kind of like Google. Like when you search for certain things, I think they track you and they try to cater to your interests. So there's different ways that you can do it. I'm not sure technically how to do it, but I know that when you search for things on Google, you can either see things by your world and your interest, or you can see it just as a general search. And that's kind of the way Facebook is leaning, I think, as well.
Yes, exactly. As you said, when we post in Facebook, mostly in groups or anywhere, it's all about the conversation. When somebody comments, it just goes up in the timeline, right? And also in the group, the recent activities section in your group, I've seen that. When there's a post with a lot of comments, it just shoots up.
Right. Right. So yeah, commenting, liking will shoot something to the top. Now, the thing that's interesting is they have a feature called pin posting. And so at first I thought it was a great idea. So say you're doing a live video event for the group, which you have done in the past, and it was excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
If I pin post it to the top, you would think, oh, great, everyone will see that. But it's not correct. What happens is if someone's on a desktop computer, the pin post is visual. You see it as you go to the group. But if you're on mobile, it's hidden, and you would have to click on something that says show pin post. And a lot of people might not even see that or ignore it in general. So that's kind of a bad feature for mobile. I would really hope that Facebook changes that and they show the pin post automatically, because the show pin post little text is not attracting many people.
Why would somebody just click it? I mean, that's stupid.
Another thing just to kind of lead off of that, other criticisms I have of mobile is I'm learning that mobile is really good though. Like mobile is a great way to be able to, if you had an event, you can add more people quickly through the mobile app than you do desktop. Searching for people is easier. Just there's a kind of fluidity that is nice on mobile that you don't get on desktop. But one thing that's a bad feature that they do, and I think they think it's building on community once again, but I think they missed the point, is on mobile, if you have a page, other people can say that they are a coworker to your page, and all of a sudden if you're on mobile and someone clicks on like Photoshop Tutor and Retoucher, which is my page, it might go to somebody else's page and say that they're a coworker at Photoshop Tutor and Retoucher.
I haven't experienced that. That's a very
I do not like that feature at all. Yeah, so like if you're on desktop and you click on the link on my timeline, on my regular personal profile that says Photoshop Tutor and Retoucher, you go to my business page. The way it should be. But if you're on mobile and you click on that same link, you might go to some complete stranger and it says coworker at Photoshop Tutor and Retoucher. So you're not going to the link of my page, you're not going to my page, and therefore all that content is being brushed over. Because I'm aware that people have limited time, you know?
That surely is a bug, I guess.
I'm not even sure if they consider it a bug. I think they think it's kind of community focused, because it shows other people who are a coworker or interested in the same focus.
So for example,
but to me it is a bug. It's kind of, it doesn't have value.
For example, you have a page, Photoshop Tutor and Retoucher. Even a random person can go ahead and write that he's a coworker in Photoshop Tutor and Retoucher, right? So you're saying that.
Please don't give anyone any ideas.
No, I'm not giving ideas, but that's something Photoshop, that's something Facebook has to fix. Not giving any ideas. Anyone can also mention my page that they are in the co-work or something. Anyway, so 7 years in the making. This is the last question. Thank you so much for it. Yeah, sure.
And one more. Not to complain about Facebook, because I truly am thankful of its platform. It's a free platform, and there's a lot of different avenues to create pages and groups and community. But one thing I've learned is being busy in the past with the group, there were times when I was on mobile and I would go to another group where I might have promoted an event in my group, and then I clicked on something very briefly, which I thought was just going to like not show a preview of that in the other group, and it removed me from my own group. So there are certain features on mobile that make it so that you can end up not deleting, but leaving your group. And what happens is if you're on desktop and you do something like that, you would get a warning. On mobile, you just would be removed from the group. So there are certain things they need to change on
Yeah.
mobile that just do kind of like unsecure, I guess.
Yes.
Not necessarily unsecure, just too easy to like make a mistake, I guess you could say, where I think you get more like visual warnings and announcements on desktop.
Yes.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, so 7 years in the making, Andrew. So you've
That's right.
built your group for 7 years. So for 7 years, if I have to ask you, what is the thing that you have learned after spending 7 years creating a group and like evolving a group?
The biggest thing I've learned is, as I said before, in terms of running the group,
Yes.
is reach out to other people. That your admins are there to help. People in the group are there to help. People in the industry, the Adobe user group community, they're there to help. There's also these helpful for the Adobe user group communities. There's also Adobe forums, so they can also answer questions as well. But in general, it's better to ask for help than to struggle with things or burn out on certain things. So that was the biggest thing I think I've learned. I also think that I'm glad that my original intention is exactly the way it is today. So almost 7 years later, the intention is to keep it a helpful group and a clean group free of spam and mean or rude people.
That's a very difficult thing to do, Andrew, because groups, after a period of time, people just post anything to the group and it becomes difficult to monitor them with just one admin. So as you said, you need people to help you, of course.
It's good to have guidelines. You got to have guidelines. I know people think you might be uptight about it, but there's a big difference between a group that has good guidelines and people respect it and it's clean, and another group where there's no guidelines and people flood it with spam and crappy content, and it dies after a while. It's just, quality will succeed where bad quality won't.
Yes, which brings us to another question. I would like to ask this one. So there's an option in a group called approved posts, that only if admins approved, my post will get posted in your group. So why is your group against it? Otherwise,
well, what that means is if you set your settings to admins have to approve a post, that basically means that me and the 19 admins would have to be constantly approving or rejecting posts. The group has 202,000 members. Not a good idea.
Not possible. Not possible.
So it's better to let people post and then quickly zap it away if it's spam than to have another job for the admins to do.
Yeah.
So
exactly. So what would you suggest to new groups? I mean, people with 5,000 or 6,000 or 10,000 members. So what would you suggest them? Should they keep it by approving? I mean, should they have an approval setting or should they have it open?
Right. I would let people just post and not set it to admins have to approve. And then any advice I would give is keep the focus to it being helpful.
Yes.
Keep it clean from spam and people who have bad intention or mean or rude energy. And be supportive of people who are doing good things, have won prizes, have contests, celebrate your timeline, your milestones when it builds to a certain number. In general, just be active with the group in a sincere way, And I don't think you should, I didn't outright try to grow the group. It grows out of its own kind of sincerity. So I don't think the intention should be to grow a group for the sake of growing a group. It should have good quality, good content, good people. Be creative.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Andrew, for joining in. And guys, do check out Andrew Kavanagh's page. It's Photoshop and Lightroom. Just go ahead and search Photoshop and Lightroom and it will be the first one because so many members. It's got the SEO, it's got everything. Just go ahead and join it. Thank you so much, Andrew, for being there. Take care.
And I wanted to say thank you for this interview, but also to say thank you so much for adding excellent content to my group or groups. You really have excellent video tutorials and a lot of people love you. A lot of people appreciate the wisdom you share.
Thank you so much, Andrew. Okay.